There's 100 other Mets podcasts you can listen to right now. People screaming at the cameras, telling you the sky is falling. But this has never been that show, and it's not going to start today. And to help us with this episode, it's Jordan Simpson, who you know from Mets Twitter, all of Mets social media. But John, I think there's brighter days ahead, and I think this is just the episode to tell everybody why.
100%. First of all, the Mets continue to be atop the league in hard hit rate. Those hard hit balls are going to start to fall for the Mets. Number two, the teams the Mets are competing with, they have them in front of them. A big series with the Phillies here, end of the month, and one in September at the bank as well. And finally, a lot of small things that stacked up in this 3-game series and this bad stretch for the Mets. Once they start to turn those things around, the Mets will start winning ball games as we've seen them do all season. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to them getting back in the winning ways Friday in Milwaukee.
Welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. I'm Vito Calisi. It's Jonathan Barron. And today we have a guest with us. Because you know what? It's not going to be the easiest one to get through. So Jordan Simpson is joining the show today because we're three positive fans who I feel like do the best to put out a positive message after some tough games. And this is one of the toughest 3-game series of the season.
I mean, it is. And it ends with a game where the Mets are no hit through 8 1/3 innings. Gavin Williams was a buzzsaw today. And you're waiting for that big hit and that rally to happen, and it just doesn't after the Mets. Let's be honest. Monday was a very tough game. You texted me after the game, and you said, is this the worst loss of the season? I still think the Dodger getaway game loss was worse because they were up 4-0, and they had a chance to take 3 or 4. And there were some, miscues in that game that cost them. But it was similar. The error in the 10th inning on Monday was tough.
I would have put the Dodger game, the Friday night game,
13 innings. That was bad too. Look, it's not about, ranking losses. And then Tuesday, the Mets lose a game where they're up 2-0. They give 2 back. It's tied. Obviously, the Mets have a very good bullpen now. Cleveland's always had a lot of, horses out of the pen. So you have 2 good bullpens going head to head. Both starters, weren't too long for the game. And then Tyler Rogers gets 2 quick outs and then gives up a couple soft singles, three straight soft singles. And that's the way that game goes. But, that's kind of a half full, glass half full look at it. And this is a glass half full podcast. But, let's not mince words, right? There are two things during a baseball season that will hold a team back. Number one is injuries, right? If you're not healthy, you're not going to have success. Last year, the Mets, especially in the starting rotation, had incredible health luck. I think they had 4 guys make 30 starts. It's rare. And when you get that, you often have a pretty good season. Mm-hmm. The Mets have not had that this year. No. I'm not blaming that for, this week or this 8 of 9 stretch. Number 2 is when your star players are not, producing like your star players. And obviously right now, there are some guys in this lineup who are not producing up to the standard that they expect of themselves, their manager expects of them, the front office expects of them, and of course the fans expect of them. And we have a lot of reason to believe that will change because these guys are players with great track records who we've seen do it many times in the past and this season, but it's not the case at this very moment. And that's really all we could talk about right now is this very moment. The Mets, a 1-5 homestand, losers of 8 of 9. That comes immediately on the heels of a 7-game winning streak. So they've undone all of that. And they have an off day on Thursday. Hopefully you guys are listening to this on Thursday, taking a breather. The Mets gets reset. And then it's on to Milwaukee, a tough team, but a team the Mets took 2 of 3 of at the start of July. So yeah, it's not great, but there are still things that you could, I think, feel okay about, and we'll talk more about them. But Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way around.
Am I crazy, Jordan?
You're not going crazy, man.
No? Okay, thank you.
As for me, as a positive Mets fan, you always look at things from you try not to be too critical of everything, but you kind of just watch what's in front of you. And to me, at the end of the day, we can sit and point to certain plays, certain moments, certain guys. But at the end of the day, to me, it's like if you win or you lose 7 of 8, that's just your reality right now. Like, you got to just turn the page and keep going. I'm not going to waste energy saying, oh, but it was this or it was that. We all know what's going on. And for us as fans, we know what's going on. I have a hunch that the players know too. So I think we don't have to stress out about what their headspace is because they're well aware. But at the end of the day, right now we're in the beginning of August, and it's like the point where it's getting late early in the sense where you got to just turn things on, and hopefully, sooner rather than later, the off day, which the Mets need. I think all of us fans need an off day to reset and then hit it running in Milwaukee.
Yeah, look, I started off the episode saying it was a rough 3-game stretch because You know, you don't want to watch a sweep, especially at home, especially as good as his team has been at home. But no, John, everything you said is spot on. Jordan, everything you said is spot on. This team is losing close games, and they're still in most games, and they fight their way back. Games that you think they're out of, like game 1, they're down 5-0. Mm-hmm. You think that it's just going to be a waste of a night. Pete Alonso hits a 3-run homer. All of a sudden, this team is right back in it, and you're hooked back in. And they've done this from opening day, where more nights than not, it feels like you have at least the tying batter, you still have the tying run at the plate when the last bat is happening. So like, no, look, I don't think this is going to be able to go on forever. I don't think some of the best hitters in baseball are going to continue to struggle at this level. And I think this is just part of the baseball season.
Well, you also, let's not forget, you have to tip your cap to Cleveland, right? This is 100%. A team that is in the AL Central, which doesn't get a lot of fanfare. And Jose Ramirez is really, the lone star player. He's one of the 10 best players in Major League Baseball, and he's not considered to be that for whatever reason. But this is a team that is now, I think, 4 games over 500, and they're creeping up on the Yankees right now. The Yankees and the Rangers have locked horns this week, and the Rangers took games 1 and 2. I think they're playing right now as we speak, game 3. But Cleveland is creeping up on that 3rd wild card spot. So the Mets didn't just lose 3 straight at home to, say, the Angels or Royals, teams that are further out in the American League wild card picture. So you need to tip your cap to that Cleveland team that, like I said, every single year, whether it's names you do know or don't know, they're throwing dudes out there in the rotation and out of the bullpen. Cade Smith is a great story, fighting lymphoma right now and picking up a couple of saves against the Mets. And, obviously Hunter Gaddis, who recorded the save on Wednesday, the guy that allowed the home run to Juan Soto last year. Obviously, Cleveland has had some other unfortunate instances that they've had to deal with this season. But all in all, they're a pretty good team. But you know what? I still believe, and like you said, so are the Mets. And I sat to listen to what Carlos Mendoza had to say during his post-game press conference, just to get an idea of what the psyche of the clubhouse is. And, these guys, like you said, they're aware. And I know it sounds stupid, but they're damn well aware of what's happening, what needs to change. Sometimes you just get beat by a team that's either feeling it. This started in San Diego. Yeah. And the Padres are a very good team. The Padres are, you ask Vegas, they have, some of the best odds to win a World Series. They're one of the favorites to win it all. And they've improved with the moves they made at the deadline. Obviously, the Mets faced them before the deadline, but tough place to go play. The Giants. We talked to David Stearns. The Giants were kind of on the cusp. Do we sell? Do we not sell? They moved some pieces, but they're not giving up. They still have a lot of very proud and talented players on that team, and the Mets lost 2 out of 3. But like we said, Friday night, the Mets easily could have won that game. That went 2 extra innings. And then this series, just a couple of bad bounces. I know people want to focus on, send him, don't send him. That whole conversation really bothered me because there is no way that any person with an opinion on Twitter can tell me for sure what that outcome would have been. And I know that everyone says, oh, well, he bobbled the ball. You don't know what would have happened because once you see the runner put the brakes on, then you're not throwing home anymore. You're probably throwing to second base. Yep. And that's probably what causes the bobble. It's just, don't tell me that he was wrong when you have zero clue what kind of an arm. I think it was Gabriel Arias has.
It was actually Nolan Jones, who has an incredible arm. Like, he's like 90-something percentile in terms of arm strength. So as a third base coach, if you're watching the play unfold and he's throwing the ball, granted, it didn't even get to the corner. Like, he cut it up before it got to the wall.
Right. It didn't hit the wall.
Good throw coming into the relay throw. And then you have...
And Arias got the relay throw.
Right. But you have like Soto and Alonso due up after.
Of course.
So I'd rather not run into an out.
Of course.
Scenario. And hindsight's always 20/20. But for me, I didn't like waking up the next day and saying, oh, what news is going up today? What are the prospects doing? And saying, oh, I can't get over this. I'm like, guys, let's take a walk.
Did you see the high angle where you could see?
Yeah, he was at third base when Arias received the relay throw.
Like, it's just like, look, there's been any, like, I'm not even going to say there's never been any calls this year where you're like, oh, like somebody should have gotten sent home. I mean, I remember, I think it was against Arizona. Like, there was a play where like, oh, it looked like somebody should have been sent home. But my point is that was one where I looked at, and when you look at the high angle of the entire field and you can see every single moving piece, it's just not clear. And you can't bank on it when you have your best hitters in the lineup coming up. That's just not good baseball.
At the end of the day, it's the shoulda, coulda, woulda. But at the end of the day, we had other chances to
100%.
win
Yeah.
that game.
In the eighth inning,
That's just not the thing to be mad about in that game.
Exactly.
That's literally the most debatable thing in the game. That's the only thing that everything. It's I don't know. Look,
And then there's a defensive miscue in the 10th inning, right? Helsley comes in, ghost runner, intentional walk, error, sack fly. They scored twice. The Mets scored one. Can't push across the second run. You mentioned before we started the Cedric Mullins hard hit ball right at I think it was Arias or Rocchio at second base.
Yeah.
And that's a tough pill to swallow. Let's talk about a positive. Pete's home run. Now 251. So the Mets go on the road. I hope so badly he does it at home. I really do.
But
no, I don't care about the Milwaukee.
I know,
thing.
but
I don't care.
I want it to be at home too. But like you have to admit, if it happens in Milwaukee, that is insane. For the two biggest home runs of his career to both be in that ballpark, I would much rather it be at home, especially with it being a weird 3-game road trip where it's like you could see the return right there in
well, against Atlanta, he hit number 53 against the Braves, so that's another little
September 28th,
parallel.
yeah. But it would just be if it couldn't be at home and I had to choose one other place to be,
Yankee Stadium.
Ooh.
Because you could be there.
That's a good point. I guess, yeah.
Or Philly.
If we were close to it. But yeah, but you already told me you don't want to go to Philly next month.
Oh, heck no. Why would anyone want to go there?
No, not when things are close. It's a very violent place to be.
I've seen enough terrible things in Philadelphia to never want to go back there. September 2007. I'm good on Philly. I'm good.
But look,
I'm
it's
very good.
Okay.
Like, I'm glad that you were here for this game and we could sit down and do this because you do your series, we do our series recaps every game. You also do your series recaps every game. And like, you keep it positive and you try to keep a fresh perspective. And is it like going into one like this? Is it tough for you? Like, are you thinking about it? Or you're just like, are you happy to be like a beacon of light for people right now when not everything is the best on Twitter?
That's my main goal. Like either way, whether we win or lose, just to kind of make people happy. So I think yes, it's been a tough stretch, but I think there are too many people out there screaming at a camera. I'm not going to be that guy. Like I'm not going to sit there and start, going crazy. But I think to me,
are we guys screaming at cameras?
No, you're good.
Okay.
No, we're like politely talk to
good.
cameras.
But I think for me, because I'm just in my nature, I'm just a very positive and just kind of more rational and just in terms of how I am. And I think, listen, you lose games, but at a certain point, it's a loss. And I'm not going to get worked up over, how it happened. Sure. I mean, listen, it's tough to have a great series. I remember doing the Dodgers recap when they were here. And he had a great last two games. And the first game was like the one that went to 1 o'clock. And I was like, oh man, I forgot about that one when you're going back through them all. But to me, it's like, it's tough that they lost. But I'm like, you know what? I mean, I've done 2 therapy songs so far this year too, 2 Mets therapy
Can I
songs.
recommend a song for your next remix for this series recap?
Go ahead.
Scars by Papa Roach.
Scars by Papa Roach.
You know that one?
Are you
wow.
a Papa Roach guy?
It's a good song.
No, I would have never guessed in a million years that you were like.
So I go through these like weird music phases and they change sometimes like within 48 hours. And it's a Spotify thing.
That's quick.
It's a Spotify thing.
I thought maybe it was a gym, cause that's like the kind of song that like will play in your gym randomly.
Tear my heart open, sold myself short.
Oh, I know what you're talking
But my weakness.
I don't know the song. I know the song. I don't know the words.
Anyway,
I know Last Resort by Papa Roach.
That's a
the
good
intro
one
to
too.
Raw, I believe, for a little bit.
Anyway, no, it was Dave Matthews. In spring training, it was Lil Wayne for a while. EDM, and then like some Waka Flocka, and then like 2000s punk rock, like Green Day, Newfound Glory, going back to like my middle school days.
Sorry, I need to correct myself. It wasn't Last Resort. It was Wanna Be Loved was the theme song to Raw for a few years. I just needed to correct myself.
Anyway, I'm thinking some like emo rock for this one. I feel like it would hit. But
hey, you brought your daughter to a game.
Yeah,
that was fun, right?
That was last series.
We didn't do an episode.
Oh, I guess we didn't, right? Yeah, we didn't. No, it was cool. Yeah, I mean, going to getting to do that at a game is a lot of fun. And it kind of reminds you that the wins and the losses aren't what it's all about. Contrary to what Al Davis said. You know who Al Davis is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like that family connection is what is so important. And for someone who just like likes the chicken fingers or likes the ice cream or likes the music or likes the colors or likes the mascot or likes the bricks outside and pointing to the Mets logo and saying Mets, Mets, Mets over and over. there's just so much more to the experience and what it means to be a Met fan. And I guess that today is a good day to remind yourself of that sort of thing, that, things are not feeling great, but trust us, when it's the middle of December or January and it's 30 degrees outside and your favorite NBA team or NHL team or NFL, not so much in January, most likely, but whatever winter sport it is that you like, when they're frustrating you,
not New York,
you'll miss the August afternoons at Citi Field, whether the Mets did or didn't get a hit through the first 8 innings of the game.
Today was a camp day too, which means it was a lot of kids' first game today.
Well, sorry, kids.
No, you know what? Sometimes it feels better just get that first loss over with and move on. I mean,
it's always a good show at Citi Field. It's always a good time.
It's always a good night,
It's always a good time.
It's a competition of Broadway.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really know what else you can say. I really do feel in my heart of hearts that when you look at the 8 of 9, starting with that Monday in San Diego, Vientos hits the grand slam. And even in that inning, Brazoban gave up some weak contact. He makes the mental error not covering first base. Yeah. The inning snowballs out of control. Mauricio ties it up. And then Gregory Soto's one strike away from getting out of it, sending it to the 10th inning. You get the ghost runner. Who knows? The Padres already used their best relievers. The Mets hadn't at that point. Diaz was still available. And then Elias Diaz, who has had good seasons but is not having a good year this year, comes up with a big 2-strike hit, ends the game. There's just been so many, I don't want to say bounces.
It's little things here and there.
Little things that when they stack, they make a big difference. And, it's winning at the margins or losing at the margins. Unfortunately, it's been losing at the margins more so than anything. But it's been a lot of little things that a team can clean up. And when you have the star power the Mets do have, and I think we all agree the Mets have star power and beyond, right? Yeah. Mark Vientos has shown great signs. He had an opposite field double on Tuesday night. Francisco Alvarez entering today, 300 in his last, I think, 10, 11 games. Jeff McNeil has been hitting the ball pretty hard. The Mets still have one of the highest expected batting averages and one of the lowest BABIPs in all of baseball and one of the highest hard hit rates in all of baseball, which I know we talked with Mr. Stearns about last year.
Mr. Stearns,
David, as Vito calls him.
I call him Dave.
Dave.
No, I thought I would never do that.
Dave Stearns. Those things do matter. And over the course of 162, they usually self-correct. So, they're going to just keep taking their at-bats and the process needs to be good and the results hopefully will come.
Now, I look back at last year even, and it is funny how much more comfortable and how much more fun the chase feels than being chased. When this time last year, I could be wrong, but I feel like this time last year we were still chasing the wild card. We were not in one of the top 3 spots yet.
Yeah.
Now we're in a spot where the Mets are 2.5 games out of first place at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
They're still in the second wild card spot, and things are on a standings level are better right now than last year.
Yeah.
But last year at this time, the team was starting to turn around after having a really, really rough start.
Yeah.
So it's all about timing. It's like we talk about all the time where if the team loses on a Sunday, if the team wins the first 2 games, loses the third one, you feel terrible. But if they lose the first 2 games and then win the third game, you feel great. So it's all about perspective. And look, there's still a decent amount of baseball left to go. I'm sure the Phillies and the Mets are going to change first place a few more times. Yeah. I saw some people on Twitter saying that they don't think the Mets are going to sniff first place again. I disagree with that. I think that you're going to see that go both ways.
We're too talented of a team to be doing this. And I hate to everybody says that we're too good of a team, but I genuinely feel like when you have a lineup with Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo, Vientos looking like he's Vientos, Alvarez looking great, at a certain point, things just have to turn on. And because they've been struggling for a while, yes, all it takes is for one person to go on a heater and it just becomes contagious. And even last year, around this time too, was that bizarre stretch where they went to Colorado in the game in St. Louis,
yeah.
and then
Seattle.
And that was a tough stretch. We were that had a losing record or something like that. And we're oh no, what's going on now? So I think it sucks, but it's better now because we need to go on some sort of winning streak at some point. And right now it's terrible how it is, but we're bound to turn it around and just do it soon.
Well, I also think that, everything's relative to expectations, right? Last year, the horrible start, everyone thinks the season's over pretty much before Memorial Day, and then June happens, and then as David where Dave told us
Big D.
The trade deadline philosophy and strategy changes where you think you're going to be sellers and all of a sudden you become buyers, and the Mets add to the bullpen and they add Jesse Winker, and you go into the second half of the season and the post deadline with aspirations of making the playoffs. And we all know there were multiple instances where the season was over, the Seattle sweep, like you mentioned, even that Oakland series, people forget
they had a,
they lost
4-1 lead.
They had a 5-1 lead the Wednesday game.
Yeah.
JJ Bleday hit a grand slam, I remember, but they lost 2 of 3.
Yeah.
Joe Boyle pitched on Tuesday night here and shut them down. And they lost 2 of 3 to an Oakland Athletics team that, at the time, Oakland Athletics, that had no playoff aspirations. And then they went to Arizona. We know the Corbin Carroll game was a true gut punch, and there were a lot of other tough losses.
The Seattle was Seattle was one of the worst series of the year.
Well, that was a bad weekend, but I mean, how about Milwaukee last year?
Oh, yeah.
What should have been the last weekend of the regular season? How about the one game they played in Atlanta before the 2 games got rained out? They, got beat up in that game pretty badly. The other thing to note, you said that they have to go on a winning streak and it has to happen now. It's all in front of the Mets, to borrow a phrase from Aaron Boone.
Yeah.
Because the Mets have multiple series left with the Phillies. They have not gone to Cincinnati yet. They have not gone to Chicago yet. They go to Chicago, I believe it's the last week of the series.
Yeah, Chicago's
and Atlanta, which is great.
No, Miami, I thought.
Miami,
Yeah.
who, we've said it here before and we'll say it again. That Marlins team is no pushover.
I don't like playing Miami the last series of the year.
Kyle Stowers has been one of the best hitters in the National League this year.
Yeah.
And that's like you want to tell a word you used to use a lot last year, the boogaboo of the Mets. You want to talk about a boogaboo of the Mets? Miami in the last weekend of the season is a big old boogaboo for the Mets.
That's at home, though. That's at home.
I know it's at home, but
That's
still,
at home.
It's still a thing.
They, in 2016, they had success when they had to in Miami. But the Mets are going to play the teams they're competing with head to head between now and the end of the regular season. So they will have the opportunity to not just secure a postseason spot, but also potentially secure a division crown and potentially secure a first round bye. And if not a first round bye, at least home field advantage in the wild card round, which, say what you want. I know the Mets went to Milwaukee last year and they won, and home teams haven't had a whole lot of success. They hosted the Padres in 2022 and they lost. And that same year, the Phillies went to St. Louis and they won. And there's many other examples of the home team losing the wild card round. I don't care about any of those historic in the small sample since the wild card round became a thing. I'd rather play it at home. I'd much rather play in front of your home fans.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think every team wants that. The Mets will have that opportunity. So again, I will say the Aaron Boone quote, it's all right in front of them. It really is. This bullpen, I think that, Helsley gives up a couple runs. They're both unearned on Monday. Rogers gives up 1 earned run on Tuesday after a bunch of soft contact. Edwin Díaz on Monday night, runner on third, no outs in a tie game.
That was incredible.
And he strands that runner, and he gets Stephen Kwan to pop up at the first pitch, strikes out the other 2 hitters. That was a heroic effort by Edwin. Reed Garrett continues to dominate. Obviously, we know in our conversation with Dave, Big D, that the Mets have talent at the AAA level that could come up and help. Also want to shout out Dom Hamel, who did not get into a game. Thanks, Pete Alonso. Because he was warming up.
He was ready to go.
He was warming up, and then Alonso hit the home run, and it changed the plans. But shout out Dom Hamel, who I know the Mets believe in. Brooks Raley hasn't allowed a run since he returned. He is a huge part of what the Mets are doing. Gregory Soto had a clean inning yesterday, or Tuesday, I should say.
Has Brooks really not given up a hit since he have not given up a run?
He hasn't allowed a run.
But even
since 2023 is the last run he allowed.
But even in the I don't think he allowed a run when he was rehabbing either.
He's been dominant. And he can get righties and lefties out. He's not a platoon guy whatsoever. Another weapon out of the bullpen. So the Mets plan is pretty clear. I do think that you probably want to get a little bit more from your starter because you don't want to burn out the bullpen.
Yeah.
But like we were talking about it, Carlos Mendoza mentioned the possibility of using an opener in front of Frankie Montas when he makes his next start. So maybe you can get 6 outs out of that opener. Maybe it's a Reed Garrett, who now that he's not forced into the high leverage spots because you have Rogers and Helsley and Diaz, maybe Garrett can start that game, and maybe Montas faces the back of the lineup and he can get 4 or 5, and you piece it together. But you got an off day on Thursday, so everyone's rested. Off day Monday before the Braves come to town. So you can get creative and not worry about using guys. And if one guy is unavailable, if Helsley or Diaz pitches back-to-back days, hopefully you don't do that with both of them. You still have the other one. And that's why that acquisition was so valuable. And that's why the Mets gave up a pretty substantial package. Jesus Baez is a very highly regarded prospect who the Cardinals, probably really, really wanted as a part of that. And the Mets parted ways with him to acquire Ryan Helsley for that reason. So, there are a lot of things moving forward that we should feel pretty comfortable about. But at the same time, the losing is bad. It's not fun at all. And it is getting late early for sure.
Yep. Well, I feel like we've hit everything we can really hit on this one.
Should we sing some more songs?
No.
Brooks Raley's song, that country song. I don't know the name of it. I don't know the name, but it hits. It's really good.
It fits him so well.
Oh, it's good.
It fits him so well.
It's really fun. It's really fun. Yeah. And Helsley's entrance has been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw somebody posted a really good angle of it on Twitter last night where you got to see like the full light, like the blackout and the lights like slowly like rotating in. It's, look, like no matter what happens, like everything is, when you come here, it's and I said before the episode, I want to bring this up, but I don't even think we got to it. Like there were some boos in the game today, but like, it's funny outside of those boos, there were some like really loud moments late in this game where the crowd was on their feet. The crowd was cheering. Like the fact that the 8th inning karaoke, everybody was doing bye, 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 and everybody was having a good time. People are smiling. The John Cena Let's Go Mets chant is back on the board, which I'm pumped about. And people were going nuts and people were chanting and people are screaming. And like, it's just, I saw somebody say this on Twitter, and I'm sorry if you're listening to this, and I'm not giving you, I'm so sorry. I just can't remember who said it. But somebody said like, I wish the fans on Twitter could see how happy the fans at Citi Field are.
So true.
Because it's just two different worlds right now. Like everybody at Citi Field comes and you have a good time, and like you don't always see a win. And like today it sucks that a bunch of people, their first Mets game they ever went to was like not it wasn't a fun loss, but it's gonna happen sometimes. But like this is a place you can come and you can enjoy a baseball game, and it's a team you can watch. And there's some Twitter accounts. I said like there's some people on Twitter right now who are just so like angry and so just want to just take it out on everybody. And it's like, what good does that do for you? What good does it do for you to just like lash out on people when I want the Mets to win more than as much as anybody, more than anybody, whatever.
Well, I think that, this Twitter is the current day WFAN. Yeah. And, or sports radio, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, usually the people that are motivated to take time out of their day to call and either continue to call until you stop getting the busy signal and you finally get through and then wait on hold. You're motivated because you're angry.
Yeah.
You're generally pissed off about something. It's not because you want to give someone their flowers. And so it's a lot easier to just, fire up those thumbs than dial the phone. So I think that's part of it. But speaking of WFAN, I need to know, and by the way, you were the first person to send it to me.
I was?
I did not know. I need to know the backstory, how long it took, the planning, whose idea it was, because not only did they do it, I'm talking about the Giants and Giants get together.
Gotcha.
Not only did they do it, but the San Francisco Giants sent Logan Webb and Matt Chapman. And I think I actually know a person that I can ask about the backstory.
Oh, yeah, you were just there. You look.
No,
you went to San Diego.
Yeah. No, I think I know a person. But the most amazing thing, I was at school. I was at Indiana. I think it was like September of 2014. And Mike was on FS1 at the time. He went national. I felt like it was for me because I was out of the New York market. I was able to watch his show all the way out in Bloomington, Indiana. And I remember just sitting there and hearing that call, Dan from Warwick, and just being like, what in the world? And 11 years later, it came together. Eli's there.
Crazy.
Mike's there. And now we got to get the Ranger one.
Is the person that you're going to ask Mike Francesa?
No, I'm not going to bother Mike. I don't think Mike remembers us. Maybe.
No, I mean, maybe. He definitely the next day on his podcast, he called me Vinny.
He did call you Vinny.
He said John and Vinny from Meet Me at the Apple.
That's offensive, Vinny.
Vinny is...
That's offensive.
I get less offended by Vinny than I get at Meet Me at the Apple or Meet Me by the Apple.
Really?
Meet Me at the... Look, call me... Some people think Vinny is actually like a version of my name. Meet Me at the Apple, Meet Me by the Apple. Every time I see that...
I've never heard Meet Me by the Apple.
I've seen both.
I've never heard that one.
It's Meet at the Apple. You can follow me on Twitter at Vito F. Khaleesi, John at JMB9191.
I mean, MATA.
Jordan, is it Jordan Simpson at Jordan Simpson Music?
It's J.R. Simpson Music.
J.R. Simpson Music, and all of Jordan's recaps after every series, just like this podcast after every series. Please leave us a review. 5-star review goes a long way with a little tippity tap, tap, tap. Actually writing something out, it really helps us out. But thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And before we get out of here.
Yeah, we're not done yet.
No,
so I got some feedback on this. So I'm going to look at the camera. I'm going to look at the single over there. Or I guess it's a double. But I'm going to look in the camera.
You got feedback?
I hear when I do this part, I'm all over. We don't have tallies here, so I'm like, which camera, which is the one? I think that should be the one always. For this part right here. When I remind the fans, our great listeners, to check out your local PC Richard & Son store where you can find the absolute lowest prices, guaranteed the friendliest, the most knowledgeable sales staff, whatever it is. You want to get a computer that you could use to leave a review for me at the Apple. You could do that. It could be for an appliance like an air conditioner or a washer or a dryer. Maybe your back's hurting because that mattress is 50 years old. Get a new one. PC Richard & Son. I might be in the market for one myself. No matter what it is, head to your local PC Richard & Son store, and I know they're going to take care of you, and you're going to have that great experience you want because they've been doing it longer than anybody else in the game since 1909. Check out your local PC Richard & Son store. Now I'm going to look at the wide shot. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Enjoy the off day. The Mets go to Milwaukee. We've had incredible times in Milwaukee, incredible memories. Hopefully, things turn around. Keep the faith. We will see you guys next time at the Apple.